Hi, Muhammad Hamad here. Today I will be discussing three examples of common network problems. The three problems that I'll be discussing are can't get an IP address, then duplex mismatch, and lastly DNS problems. So let's start with can't get an IP address. So the indications that we have this problem will be as follows. Network is down. OS may alert that no address was received from the DHCP server, and no address may be configured after checking the status of the network adapter. The causes of this problem are no address received from the DHCP server, DHCP server may be down, device configured to use static address instead of DHCP address, and lastly, DHCP request did not make it from the device to the server at all. So the resolution for this problem will be as follows. We need to check if the network interface card or the NIC is configured to use DHCP. We need to check the VLAN in which the report is configured as a member, and we need to check if other devices on the VLAN can get addresses. If not, that will mean that DHCP request is not forwarded from the router to the DHCP server. And lastly, if many devices are having the same problem across several subnets, then the server itself is the problem, which means that the DHCP service might not be running or out of addresses to distribute. So the steps that we need to take, or the measures to figure out this problem or to troubleshoot it, will be as follows. Using the command prompt, we need to write the following command and check if the NIC is configured to use DHCP. So we write netsh interface IP show config, and we will get the following. As you see in this screenshot here, that after writing this command we got these details, and obviously the DHCP is enabled in the router and in the LAN, as you see. And next, if the device is not configured to use DHCP, we can change it using the following command. We just type it there in the command prompt in order to change it. We write netsh interface IP set address local area connection DHCP, which will configure the device to use DHCP. Our next step will be to check the VLAN. So to check the VLAN, I simply wrote ipconfig in the command prompt, and I got the details you see on the screen in front of you. So our VLAN will be in our default gateway, the IP address for our default gateway, the third digit of it, which is the one, that's our VLAN. Our next step will be to check if other devices can get addresses, just to make sure that DHCP requests are forwarded from the router to the DHCP server. To do this, as you see on the screen in front of you, first I ping the IP address there, which is my IP address, and the result I got from pinging is timed out, this stuff. But what I did next, I just wrote ARP minus A, and I got the following details, so which means that IP addresses are distributed. Assuming that the problem resulted from case 1, NIC is not configured to use DHCP, then what we can do is to configure it to use DHCP using the following command. netsh interface IP set address to local area connection DHCP, which may in turn solve this problem. And now I will move to our second problem, which is the duplex mismatch. So the indications that we have this problem, or that this problem is there, are the following. The network is working poorly, the performance of the network will suffer, and throughputs will drop to 100 kbps or even lower. So What causes the duplex mismatch is that one side of the connection is using full duplex and the other side is using half duplex. So full duplex will not need to transmit since it is configured to transmit whether it's receiving or not, while the half duplex he has to wait until it stops receiving, then it will start transmitting. So in this case the half duplex will be receiving all the time and will not transmit, so the transmission will be aborted. So the resolution for this one is that the duplex mismatch in most cases is the result of forcing one side of the connection to full duplex, which is usually the switch, and the other side, which is usually the PC, to auto-negotiate. So the side forced to full duplex will not be sending the appropriate signals that the other side needs to determine the duplex and the speed. And in this case, when the negotiating connection cannot determine the duplex, it will be half duplex by default. So the solution for this problem, or the easy solution, will be to simply set all connections on the network to auto-negotiate. The steps to change the connection settings are as follows. We'll just change it to auto-negotiate. We go to control panel, then we go to network and internet. From there we go to our local area connection or whatever connection we are using. Right click on the mouse and hit properties. From there we click configure, then we go to advanced tab, and from there we'll go to speed and duplex, then we change the value to auto negotiate, and this should be able to help us in solving this problem. So our next will be the DNS problems. The indication that we are having this problem will be that we will not have access to the internet or to key applications. The network will appear to be down. So the cause of this problem is that the PC cannot resolve the name of the server with the IP address of that server, our domain name service. So the result, there will be no connection network sent. This is caused when the wrong DNS server is configured on the client, which will result in sending DNS requests that are not in the database of the server. This is also caused when there is a packet loss on the network. Since DNS is a UDP-based protocol, lost packets will not be retransmitted, which will cause the DNS to fail. So the resolution will be to check which DNS server is set up to use in the client configuration. If the configurations are wrong, they must be adjusted in the client server or in the DHCP server. And we need to check the DNS server from the client connection to check if there is any delay in response resulting from packet loss. I started here from the last step I discussed before. What I did, I used nslookup in the command prompt to get the IP address of UPOU. Then I pinged this IP address. As you see in the screenshot, after the nslookup, the results are normal. There doesn't seem to be any problem. No packets were lost, and the speed was not the fastest, but there is no delay in response. It was at 106 milliseconds for minimum, maximum, and average. Another helpful information can be that we get if we use the tracer, because it will list the domain name together with the IP address. As you see here in the red mark, that's the domain name listed before the IP address. So since we need to check the DNS server settings as part of the resolution, so how do we check it? First, we need to open the control panel, go to network and internet, and then we open network and sharing center, the usual. And then we will go to change adapter settings, as you see on the screenshot. And then we go to our connection. In my case, it's the wireless network connection. From there, right click on the mouse, hit properties. And from there, I will choose the Internet Protocol version 4 TCP, and I will go to properties. So from there, I should be able to see the DNS server settings as you see there. So how to solve the problem with the DNS settings, the easiest way will be to choose to obtain DNS server address automatically. So that should be sufficient to solve our problem, especially if we are just using it at home. Also, if we go to the advanced settings, we should see that the DHCP is enabled, which we previously saw while checking using the command prompt. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and these are my references. Thank you.